everyone, and welcome back to Job and the Librarians. This is episode 6, and we're going to be talking about The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers. I'm Ericka. I am a young adult librarian, and I run a blog called Highway-Way.
And I am Julie. I am from Pages and Pens, a booktube channel here on YouTube where I talk about all of my book hauls and mainly YA books. I also run a Facebook buddy read group where I get to buddy read with a whole bunch of you guys.
And I am Lauren. I am a reference librarian and I run an LGBT lit book club.
Okay, so in today's book, in a nutshell, this is a book about Rosemary Harper, who joins the crew, the Wayfarers, and she gets into this ship. She's trying to escape her life that she had before. Something would happen to her with her father, which you'll find out later on as we talk about the story. And she discovers this whole new, well-rounded, diverse cast of characters and this family, and they do this space tunneling. Make sure I got that right.
Yeah, they create like wormholes between different like areas of space for easier traffic.
Right. And so they get offered this job, and it's a lot of money for them, but it's also dangerous. And so they take up that job, and it just starts off, it just goes from there. So what did you all think about the book?
Sorry, I'm sending out tweets to everybody so that they know that we're live.
I personally, for the book, to answer Erica's question, I think it was, what I liked about it tended to be more the technical aspect of it. Like, I thought it was well written. I liked characters in it. Like, I loved Dr. Chef. And by the way, I just love that his name in the book is two jobs. And they're his jobs. And the dialogue was fantastic. Like, the dialogue was fantastically written, I thought. The descriptions, though, were just so overly technical, I thought. But, I mean, that might have been just me.
The descriptions of which? Of, like, the space stuff?
I think, like, they would go very sciencey on the descriptions. Like, I get that it's sci-fi. Like, I went in knowing that. But I'm like, I just want to be entertained and, like, have action and not have science explained to me in this sci-fi book. And, like, hearing that, I realize it sounds a little ridiculous. Like, why are all these French people speaking French in France?
I mean, I wanted to read a book set in France, but I don't want to hear French.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like that. But, like, I went into it almost, like, thinking to be kind of Star Trek-y, in that you get, like, the adventure and the action and some science tossed in with some science explanations. But, like, when you get the science explanations in this book, it'd be, like, so sciencey. I'm like, oh my god, just calm down.
Yeah, I can see that in a little bit, because Rosemary, she didn't really know a lot about it as well. So when they was explaining to her, it's kind of like us trying, like, we're Rosemary in itself. And it was, at the beginning, it was a lot of ticky talk. But what I liked about this book was, I was looking for action. I was looking for other stuff in it. But what I liked about it was the well-rounded characters that they had. And it was so diverse. And how much character-driven this story was. I really liked that aspect of the book. The science fiction part of it, I did have to, wait a minute, what did I read, and go back and reread that too. But I really like the different characters in the story. Each of them had way different backgrounds, but they all just came together so beautifully and together.
I loved it, and I did, like, sneak, and I never do this. I never pull a Lauren, but I pulled a Lauren, and I went on Goodreads, and I saw what you guys said. And
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, that's totally me. And I have no problem with it being named after me.
I was like, I pulled a Lauren, and I went, I looked. But only because I had already, like, fully formed my opinion, so I, like, wasn't worried about being swayed at all. But I was like, I rated this so much higher than they did. But for me, this was an absolute 5-star read. I loved it. And I am the first one to steer away from books like this, because I say it in a ton of my videos and in a lot of my discussions when I'm discussing sci-fi. or just books in general. I don't like when my forms of entertainment make me feel stupid, so I don't often read sci-fi or anything that has to do with time travel or dimension shifts or like alternate realities, because I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it.
And I think that's what my problem was, is I'm not a science-minded person, so I'm almost going into this stuff where they're discussing it and to me seeming overly technical. So I come out of it like, okay, I really don't care. You bored me to tears and I don't understand it. Are you trying to make me feel like I don't understand it, or are you just trying to explain?
I feel like, here's the thing, like, as a non-science minded person, I think it was a very good, succinct explanation. Like, the only time where I felt in any way, shape, or form lost in terms of like the scientific definitions and stuff was when I think it was Kizzy was explaining things to Rosemary in the very beginning about, was it Syssix or was it Kizzy? I think it was Kizzy. Tell me it was Kizzy. In the beginning when she's explaining to Rosemary like how everything works. The thing is, like, Rosemary's already accustomed to there being like space travel and stuff like that. So she understood some of the basics, and I feel like she just like nodded along to things where she didn't really understand. And I'm like begging her to like raise her hand and ask more questions so I understand it better. But at the same time, I realized I'm just never going to. And I think the heart of the story was so not involved in the science aspect that it was easy for me to like take those couple of pages that really did make me feel lost, but it was like 4 pages, you know, like 5 pages, like whatever in the grand scheme of things, and ignore that and then move on. And then you don't get anything like that really at all until the very end when they're finally tunneling like for their big project. So for me, it didn't take me out of the story at all. Personally.
Yep.
By the way, how did you guys feel about Kizzy and Sussex? Sussex? Yeah.
Syssix?
I think that's close.
Yeah. How did I feel about them? I love them.
Yep.
I love them.
Like,
Kizzy's like adorable. Like, I wanted to shrink her down and put her in my pocket and just keep her forever. She's so like
I
spunky.
want to be like, you're my best friend. I feel like we could be best friends and just hang out.
She's so cute. I personally had issues with Jenks because I couldn't separate Jenks from one of my all-time favorite series. Has my all-time favorite character. His name is Jenks, and he's a fairy. He's very tiny. And I'm like,
well, this Jenks is little too, isn't he?
This Jenks is little too. So I'm like, I kept reading his name, seeing like a fairy, and then being like, oh God, come on. And then like realizing that's not who it was. So like I had issues like just discerning that. But I did like, this is a book that I actually like marked up. So like I wrote in this and I underlined stuff, and I underlined a lot in the beginning as they were introducing different characters and which race they were and what their physical descriptions were, because for me in the beginning, that was one of the hardest things. And I had a hard time picturing the characters in my head as I was reading. And that for me is like a really big part of my reading experience. So actually Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads suggested that I go and look at fan art for it. And then once I looked at a couple different pieces of fan art and kind of got in my head what each character looked like, even though the fan art for this like varies greatly, like I think it's a lot up to interpretation. Once I could picture them in my head, I read them all a lot easier, personally.
I need to look at the fan art myself.
It was pretty cool. I mean, there's not a ton of it yet, which like surprised me a little bit. Like I feel like I've seen this book around a lot, and it almost really begs fan art because it's so like out there,
Like
and there's
the characters need fan art.
Yeah,
Just,
like I didn't find a ton of it. I'm trying to check out the chat room because I've been ignoring you guys. I see you. Kaylee agreed the science was pretty much lost on her, but the diversity, she was all there for the diversity, which was phenomenal and a complete discussion that I know we will get into.
The diversity was great.
Yeah,
and
it was
part of the
amazing.
reason I loved it is I love Jenks being little.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I'm a little person. Not like LP little, but like just short. And like I was glad that just somebody that was, I feel unusually short without actually like having a real label for it.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that somebody that was kind of in that weird limbo state was, or at least, what I feel to be a weird limbo state was represented. So I'm like, there's a me in a book now.
And I love too that they did have that conversation with him about how like body modification is so like the norm, and why didn't he ever fix himself? And he's like, because there's nothing wrong with me. And I was like, yes. I was at my book like clapping. I was like, usually I clap at like shows or like something that like really gets me going, but I was like, yes, you get it. Like I loved it.
And I love it when there's this one character, whenever there's a character when they're discussing really anything. How do you feel about being on your meds? How do you feel about X, Y, and Z? You have one janky arm. Why don't you get that fixed? Because there's nothing wrong. Like, I love it when there's, the one person that, kind of gets it and kind of verbalizes what a lot of people end up thinking and trying to talk up to their friends. And then, we all sound like schmucks and putzes and like we're talking the stereotype when we go, there's nothing wrong. But then you get Jenks, who actually is, this little guy. And I mean, being a little guy by today's American standards isn't normal, quote unquote. But I love that he lives in this universe where you can actually fix that kind of stuff. And he goes, no, I'm fine. And I loved his big personality too.
I did too. And I love that they didn't just like kind of coast over the like, no, I don't want to change myself. Like they dedicated like a decent amount of page to his like reasoning behind not wanting to change himself, and like his family and his parents, and do you want to fix him? Do you want to change him? And his parents waiting until it was his decision, and then him deciding he didn't want to. Like they actually like addressed it, which was like awesome to me.
Let's see.
Nora said she thought there was less technobabble than usual. Amber said it didn't bother her. Rogers reads, Megan says she liked the explanation. She just ignored the science that she didn't understand, which is what I do too normally.
It's fine. I'll be the odd man out. I'm cool with it. I usually am.
Well, no, I agree. Like I didn't understand it, but it didn't bother me, I guess, Dr. Chef, I can't listen, guys, I can't. Can we also we're going to get to it. I'm trying to look through your comments and then I just keep getting sidetracked. But the fact that Dr. Chef is gender fluid, like, was amazing.
I liked his backstory as well.
It was a girl. She was a girl. And she, like, raised her children. She, like...
And now he's a boy.
And now, what? As you age male. Like, how? What?
Mind blown.
I know.
Like, I reread that section a couple of times because I'm like, did I just read this right? Did I imagine this? And I'm like, this is fantastic. I mean, even though I rated the book low, there's part of it's like, I run an LGBT book club. I should like take this to book club and be like, I hated this book, but I know you guys will love it.
You did not hate it.
Yeah, I didn't hate it with the 3 stars.
I was mediocre. Okay.
Just wasn't my cup of tea. That's all.
I agree. Megan was saying she loves how they use Z and Zer and Zers. Like they use like different gender pronouns, which was so cool to see. And there was just like everything was so normalized. Nothing was odd. There was all these like interspecies relationships. There was all these different relationship types, and just the fact that there was the Sissix and her family and her background and how she's like hatched by like hatched parents and then raised by these like feather parents and then living with these like friends and lovers, and like how everything's like open and very like touching and connected, and that you get to like choose all like I loved it. Love it.
I thought that Rose.
Go ahead, Lauren.
I thought that what I liked about it was Rosemary kind of approached it like I think the rest of us, and that this like I love that they approached it like you said, nothing was odd, like, and there was a normalcy to it. But I like that Rosemary came in and was like, kind of not off-put, but kind of curious and like, isn't this kind of odd that this person sleeps with all these partners, and isn't it kind of weird that this person's in love with a robot kind of stuff? And then as she gets used to it, it kind of becomes normal. Because I mean, it really is. It's not odd. It's you know, it's basically human sexuality. And, you know, I guess Lady Gaga was right in that you are born that way.
I thought it was really cool, especially because she was like the language expert and she had done all this studying on all of these different races across the universe, but she hadn't actually encountered any of them really like inside of her like little bubble at first. So for her to get out there, like outside of her planet and go out into the outer space and kind of actually see firsthand all these things, you could look at it from like a more intellectual, educational study point of view. And then somewhere along the line, it morphed into this very like intimate familial relationship point of view as she like is still studying them as just like a study in psychology, basically is what I took it as, like a sociology, psychology study. And I am fascinated by all of that. So I kind of appreciated seeing the book through her eyes and being able to see all of that kind of unfold and educate herself, you know, through her eyes, because I think that's how I would probably look at it if I were to, you know, be in that situation.
That makes sense.
That's how I looked at it. We're getting a lot in there about the family dynamic being really cool, and Megan had her daughter read it because of all the normalization and how important that is for kids to read. And but Taylor, you haven't read it yet. She's disappearing before spoilers. She's just started it, so like
Too
Taylor,
late.
run and come back later.
We did a couple of spoilers already though.
Yeah. Go.
Go read it first and then come and then watch the recording.
Yeah. Nora said the pronouns surprised her, but in a positive way. And I agree. It did for me too, because even in the most diverse books, you don't often see gender neutral pronouns being used.
Okay, let's see.
So yeah. And then what was it? Gosh, what's his name? Ohan? And that they were they instead of like he.
Yeah.
I was like, this is like, it was so like complex. It was a lot to take in because all of these different races have like all of these different backgrounds and histories, and they were all kind of fleshed out. You got to learn about each of them. You got to know about kind of all of their cultures, which I thought was really, really neat. But it just the way that it was written, it didn't feel complicated. Like the more you read it, the more it was just kind of second nature. And at first it was a little bit of like, all right, I really have to underline this stuff in case I have to come back to it. And then I was just like, yeah, okay, well, she's got feathers and
scales.
and scales. And the captain's girlfriend is kind of part fish. I don't know what she was.
That's funny.
Now I have like a whole new visual for this captain's girlfriend because like for whatever reason I visualized her to be more human. And now I like see her as like almost a SpongeBob SquarePants character where she's got a human body like the fish top.
Fish face. I don't know. I pictured her fishy. What did everybody else picture her as? I don't really think I found fan art on her even, but I pictured her as almost like this silver glittery scaled, like very fishy looking thing. Cause I think that he even says she doesn't have ears or like even really a mouth, and that she uses like the talk box because she doesn't hear and speak the way like we normally would. So she has like
But
this.
that almost, I'm not to sound awful, but that almost also sounds like a burn victim to me. Like her face got burned.
Pretty, but she's described as being like very, very beautiful and like this shimmery kind of a thing. Person, her. I don't know how.
Maybe she's a shimmery burn victim.
I mean, potentially.
The imagination is tested when reading this book. It's like
I know.
trying to picture all these characters and what they look like.
Kaylee's like, I don't remember now how I pictured her, but scales for sure, and I agree. Megan for Rogers Reads is like, I gotta admit, can we talk about the AI thing? Jenks and Lovey.
Yes.
First of all, I don't think I could love Lovey more than I do, and I am heartbroken.
Yeah.
Heartbroken.
That part, I read that part. I was crying on that part. That part, and then the part with Corbin. Those two.
Oh,
my heart.
God. Poor Corbin. Like he's an ass, but like I felt so bad for him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Lovey broke me. Like absolutely broke me, and I'm not okay with it. But the fact that like okay, I can understand. You work with an AI. It's a she's aware. She's aware, she's growing, she's learning, she can communicate, she can think on her own, she's sentient. You can put her into her own body, and you have essentially somebody that can grow and learn and feel. Okay, I get it. I get, fine, you fell for it. He got naked and cuddled with her core. I'm sorry, say what?
I'm like trying so hard right now not to lose it. Like,
yes. Say what? She's like, I'm gonna burn you. Like, he's like, well, just turn off, or like, you're gonna be too cold. She's like, turn off your fans, but only for a little bit, only as long as it's safe. And it's like, oh, okay. I was like, no. Like, every time he goes down to work on her, he just strips down naked and cuddles with her. I can't with that.
It was sad though. As I'm reading this, there's part of me that's like, all those stupid lines that you like think of before going to a bar of like, you give me your number, but I won't give you mine. And your friend is going, there's going to be somebody that falls for it. He's that guy. He's totally like that stupid guy that goes to the bar that falls for these lines where you're like, oh, I kind of want to go out and have fun and maybe do something and not worry about it. And he's this stupid guy that would fall for those lines just so you can have fun. And yeah.
He's so sweet. And I'm like, okay, if that's how you feel like you can be like intimately close to her, I can't. I'm blushing.
To each his own.
I was at the towards the end, I'm just begging and praying that he gets her into a body so that I'm more comfortable reading it. I'm like, please put her in a body. I can't.
That story, the hard reset, that's a hard reset in my heart.
It was so brutal. And I already ordered the second book, which is like a companion novel. I don't think it's a complete continuation, but it follows Penny and Lovelace. I think she's just Lovelace again, right? And yes. It follows them. And I want to read it because I know it's going to be diverse and it's going to be great. And I really like her writing, but I'm really nervous because I just want Lovey back. And I'm so like a part of me, and I know it's far-fetched, but a part of me is like praying that somewhere through that book there's some kind of like a glitch and she turns back into Lovey. Like, that's what I'm honestly praying for. And if it doesn't happen, I may just fall apart.
Yeah. I think what I may do for the next one, because I do want to read it, I think I may just listen to it. And I think I'll have a better understanding and appreciation for the story if I listen to it.
I bet that's actually a good way to do it. I bet like the audiobook for this is probably really cool.
Yeah, listen to a sample of it, and it was pretty good.
Did they have multiple voices? Was it like more than one voice actor?
It was only one with the sample.
I want it to be more.
Good. She was good.
Was she?
By the way, at the risk of sounding utterly, utterly ridiculous and being the person that is making all sorts of just references tonight, every time Lovelace came on, I had to make myself remember that her name is Lovelace. Like, kind of like Ada Lovelace, the mathematician.
Yeah.
Rather than Lovey, because every time I would read Lovey and start to get into that name, I would instantly go to Gilligan's Island.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you remember the millionaire's wife was Lovey?
Yeah. I never went to that. My goddaughter calls her like baby blanket Lovey, and I'm like, no. But I was able to keep it apart to a certain extent. Okay, somebody help me. Somebody in the chat room, tell me what's the captain's name? Why am I forgetting everything?
Ashby.
What's Ashby's girlfriend's name? Tell me in the chat room because I want to look up fan art of her because I'm really bothered by it. Kaylee says scales for sure. Amber said she thought she was a white robot thing. I did not get that. So like, if I can't find fan art, I'm gonna get really upset.
Yeah, I didn't go with the robot thing either.
No, but so did Nora. Nora said a robot thing too. Kaylee said, oh my God, yes. Lovey made me so sad. Broke Nora's heart so bad. Amber cried so bad at Lovey. Libros and Munchkins. Oh, that's so cute. She cried too. And then everybody's just laughing at the fact that Jenks got naked with a computer core. Nora ignored that.
That is fair, Nora. I kind of did.
Amber. Amber said he bathed naked in her light. He did. Didn't she have like the? I cannot. It was endearing, but like in a sad way. I'm like, put her in a body.
I mean, doesn't that kind of sound like a horrible pickup line as well? I just want to bathe naked in your light and your ethra, and
that is a horrible pickup line. But in this case, he literally was cuddling a computer core, and all I know is that if my laptop is on my lap too long while I edit, I will burn the crap out of my legs.
Yes.
Do you know what I don't want to do? Snuggle naked with that. So I'm just saying.
That is fair. Completely and utterly.
Pie. All right. I'm looking it up, guys. If I don't find her, you're gonna see me rage.
I also kind of dug how sarcastic Sissix was. Just because,
yeah.
Just so utterly sarcastic. And there's part of me that's like, I'm little like Jenks with the big personality, but that level of sarcasm and might not be her height, and I might not have her scales, but damn, I want to just hang out with her.
Yeah, I liked her personality.
I did. I really liked her personality, but I think I was really taken with Kizzy. She was just like going to her concerts and doing some kind of weird space drug or space alcohol. I don't know what she was talking about. Smash? Because at first she was like, you want to smash tonight? And I was like, smash tonight means something different for me than I think it means for you. But I don't know.
I feel like we each have our very different literary best friend in this book.
Yeah.
I feel like, I liked them all so much. Do you know who I really never did get very, overly attached to, though, was Ashby. I never got, super attached to.
Me either.
We didn't really get much of him like we did with the other characters, though. He was...
No, but that's weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
I feel like
he was the captain. And the only time we saw him was, for... we only saw him for, a parental reason. If the crew was arguing and he would come on and stop the arguments and whatnot, but we didn't see a lot of him.
I'm getting Jack nothing on Pie, whatever her name is. I got nothing. And I'm going to get real mad about it.
Wasn't the name also short for something?
Oh, was it? No, I think that was her name, but they gave her a fake name, a code name.
No, because didn't Kizzy call her that name? And then she goes, only my friends call me that. And it was a shortened part of her first name or something like that. I don't know why I remember that one line.
Yep, you're right. But at the same time, I feel like I would still find her under that name with fan art. There's no fan art for this.
You on Pinterest?
No, I'm just Google image searching. Pinterest? Is Pinterest where I need to be?
That's where I get my fan art from.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
All right. Well, I don't know. If anybody finds it in the chat room or whatever, I don't want to be looking for it the whole entire conversation. But if anybody finds it, throw it into the Buddy Read group or throw it at me on Twitter, because I need to know now what she looks like, because I've got a very fishy vibe in my head.
I'm on Pinterest.
Kaylee's laughing at Smash. I'm sorry, but Smash for me is not some kind of weird space drug. I don't know what they were doing. They were definitely getting drunk at different parts, which cracked me up, because then they were all hungover. But I think that there was other stuff going on too. And they were going to space concerts.
Weren't they high half the time too?
Yeah, for sure. Which I'm sorry, but if I was on a ship hurtling through space with nothing to do for I don't understand still how they gauge time, but a long time getting to these jobs, between these long haul jobs, I'd need something to do too. I'd be going bananas.
Time to rewatch Game of Thrones.
Yeah. Okay. There's got to be some kind of space Game of Thrones, right?
Maybe not. Dragons may or may not exist up there on Mars. What do I know? I haven't visited.
People are agreeing that it was definitely some kind of drug. Again, they're agreeing that Ashby really didn't get too much backstory at all.
Yeah.
And then
I don't see any on Pinterest.
no, as I'm telling you, I couldn't find anything on her. I don't know.
I just see sick. How to say her name? I just see her, and that's it. And
Yeah,
Rosemary.
I don't know. I think so. Amber said, wasn't it about a year to get to the job? I think it was, if they were counting like Earth calendar days, right? Because they were like saying like blank number out of this number to get there. I don't know.
But they kept referring to everything as standard date and standard year. So for whatever reason, I thought it might be different than a Earth year. And they had also said that they kept talking about Earth in the past tense like it was unlivable.
Yeah. But there was definitely like space time and then like planetary time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. If anybody has any favorite quotes from the book, from Goodreads always has like a ton of the quotes listed. Definitely throw them in the chat room, because I thought that there was some really pretty writing and some like really cool scenes in this that I really, really enjoyed. And the character interactions and the chosen family, like I love books where there's a strong chosen family, like the Six of Crows duology, or like Harry Potter, where, you know, your family may not be the best of families, but you have a chosen family that you connect with. And I feel like this wasn't necessarily a ship full of misfits, but it wasn't a ship full of people with like great relationships back at home, except for, I guess, Kizzy had good relationships back at home. Sissik was like, I mean, she still went off and found her own kind of like chosen family. Rosemary obviously is running for a reason, but
didn't Sissix take like the name of the ship as her family name?
Yeah. But her family.
Yeah. But I love that. Like I love stories where people come together and choose a family, which made me really like when Sissix had to stand up for what's his face. Why am I so bad with names?
Don't wait for Corbin.
For Corbin, thank you. When she had to like, you know, go ahead and vouch for him, and it was like,
it's like she hates me, but
she hates me. I hate him, but I guess I'll be responsible for him for, you know, however long, if that's what I need to do to get him out, because I'm not going to leave him there.
But isn't that what you do with your family idiot? Look,
yeah, of course
he's
it is.
Family idiot. We all know this. He's probably going to do something stupid in the next 5 minutes after I back him up.
Yeah.
But I've still got to take him home.
But it was beautiful relationships. Like it was really, really gorgeous. And I loved how at no point in the story was Lovelace like not an actual character. Like she was always treated as an actual crew member. And then like I loved Corbin, his like redemption arc through the book, and when he saves Ohan was like, thank you. Somebody had to man up, and like nobody else was gonna like go ahead and suffer that wrath. But like I'm so glad somebody went ahead and did what they needed to do for them.
Because like when Lovelace got reset, it was like he lost a crew member, and I think he mentioned that at the end, towards the end of the book, and you can just see how just of a close-knit family they were, because she didn't have a body, but she was still part of the crew, and I really liked that, and that's what part of the reason that my heart broke over again, reading it.
Because she was real to them. She was absolutely real to them, and you know, it's like having somebody wake up with, you know, massive amnesia and they don't remember like anything. And I love that part too, when he had to go to the trial and they're like, well, you're saying you didn't have any casualties, and he's like, yeah, we did. You know, like we did have a casualty.
Yeah. It's like having your pet at home, you know, and your pet dies. Like that's part of my family, you know?
Yeah.
So it's probably a bad analogy, but y'all get it.
Nora said this book made her think of the show Firefly, which I've never seen, and I don't know how, because
oh my god, you totally need to watch Firefly.
I know, I've never seen it.
Reviews for this book, and somebody else mentioned that it's kind of like Firefly. It's on Netflix.
Is it? Oh, yeah. Well,
Yes.
then I have to watch it because Nathan Fillion is like everything.
Watch the follow-up movie Serenity, because I mean, it otherwise ends very, very badly. Because Fox. Oh, I mean,
Yeah.
good God.
I'm gonna have to check that out for sure, but because this isn't the first time that I've heard that comparison. Talia, we're looking for pie. Oh, you guys already answered. I don't need to even keep up with this group. You guys are managing yourselves. Amber's making it okay for me to forget character names because there was a ton of them. There really were. But I liked how Rosemary came into things and then grew to trust and grew to like accept these people as family. But I also love that she came in and was immediately super useful and really good at her job despite not being like technically, not that she wasn't qualified for it. She was qualified for it. But the way that she got there wasn't necessarily honest at first. But the way that she handled the negotiations when the pirates came on board, the way that she like stepped in and translated throughout the entirety of the book, the way that she jumped on and understood the rules of space travel and wasn't too proud to like take the drugs or was going to take the drugs to knock herself out because she knew that the space travel made her violently ill. Like I enjoyed her as a character and I enjoyed meeting all these people through her. I think that there was a lot of different lenses that this story could have been told in, and it would have been just as easy for Becky Chambers to do like an alternating point of view where you get the story from a whole bunch of different people. And I really liked that it was really truly from Rosemary, and that you got peeks at everybody else and you got peeks at like letters or things between Ashby and his, but in general I liked learning the majority of what we had to know from Rosemary's point of view because I really did like her as a character.
Yeah, I did too. She wasn't on the ship. The thing, like when they got robbed the first time, I was like, they don't have any type of protection on that ship. So if Rosemary was not there,
oh, they'd all be dead.
They'd have been SOL the whole time. Like, how you not have a ship and not have any kind of, I don't know, weapons or something.
I know that's a part of like Ashby's like philosophy as a race, like his race in general, like that's how they behave, but it's the dumbest policy to have when you're a flippin' space explorer. Like that's ridiculous. If these people are your family, you protect them. You have some kind of shields. You have something in place. Like you have some kind of backup. Like, okay, you personally don't want to have any kind of weapons, but you have to have an enforcer. You got to have somebody on that team that can keep you safe. Like that to me did not make any sense.
And the hand gesture that he didn't know he made, which made him get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay.
I'm like, come on now. Everybody else is saying they haven't seen it either.
So I got a message from a friend saying that she thought that Sussex might be pansexual.
Yep.
Believable, right? Like, it's multiple partners, not so much what you look like as much as who you are.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously that's the way that they're, her culture and her religion, like it doesn't matter for her,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if Becky Chambers ever like defines, like even in interviews or anything. Like I don't know what she's said about each of these characters. I also don't know very much about Becky Chambers in general, or if any of these characters are like an own voices like portrayal. Like I feel like she's captured the diversity in this so well between disabilities and ableism and different sexualities and different kinds of relationships and open relationships, and the communication even between Rosemary and Sussex when they're discussing their relationship and where things are going to go and what Sussex might need to feel fulfilled, in the future, etc. Like it's all so well done. And yes, research can do that, but I wonder, like I don't know anything about her as an author. I don't know if any of this is like an own voices kind of a situation.
She did a great job.
She did.
A really good job.
That was a segue to Lauren, though, because I know if anybody did research, it was her. I didn't.
Yeah, I had never heard of her.
I did not this time. Sorry.
What, Lauren? You did not research?
Why?
That's like a forte.
I know, but the good news is I'm a reference librarian and I have my smartphone on me, so.
Whoop, whoop. All right, well, while you look at that, Amber said she's so confused as to why Pi doesn't have any fan art. She doesn't. We've all looked. And also, why does Sissix always look like a dinosaur? She does.
Yeah, she does.
She always looks like a dinosaur, like some weird like T-Rex velociraptor. Except there's like one.
She is. Because I mean, they've been doing research lately saying that dinosaurs did in fact have feathers. So I mean, like as they're describing her, I really kind of imagined her with almost a T-Rex like body, but almost more like a velociraptor like head.
Okay. There's one particular fan art though. If you guys look up any like Long Way to a Small Angry Planet fan art, it's usually the first one that comes up where she looks terrifying. And it's hold on, I'll see if I can link you guys to it. Because she's no, that's not what I wanted. How did that open? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be able to grab it. But it's got like Jenks and Kizzy. It's got all of them. But she almost looks like a weird samurai. I don't know. She's terrifying in it. She's terrifying in it. What?
You said a weird samurai.
She does. It's scary. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can put it in here. No, I cannot. It will not let me do it. But some of the fan art is really strange. Kaylee agrees she'd like to learn more about Becky Chambers. If anybody does research, Lauren's going to look for some stuff really quick. But I agree. I think that, does she have some kind of like science background? Like, is this girl?
From what I read, her family is very science-based. Okay. She's actually got a website called otherscribbles.com. And on here, real easy, right? She's written short stories, nonfiction. And she grew up in a family heavily involved in space science.
Well, that makes sense, doesn't it now?
And here's the best part. Like, nothing from this next sentence will surprises me. She spends her non-writing time playing games, keeping bees, and stomping around the woods. So far, nothing on, like, own voice or sexuality or anything in terms of herself, but it sounds like she's moved around a little bit. She's lived in Scotland, Iceland, currently is living in California. So, I mean, that might add to the diversity. She's lived around different people, so it's probably really easy just to...
Yeah. So, like, just in the front, like, bio, it says that she was raised by an astrobiology educator, an aerospace engineer, and an Apollo-era rocket scientist. So she's obviously a space enthusiast. Yeah. She was
holy shit. I mean, astrobiology?
Yeah. She spent time in theater administration and then shifted to writing. So obviously the science background comes naturally. I don't know about the diversity. Amber in the group, and then I just read it in this book as well. She, in order to get this book published, did a Kickstarter. So this was funded, like this was crowdfunded to be able to put this out.
Yeah, that was crowdfunded, but I want to say after getting that crowdfunded, it had such a big reception that
it was picked up by a publisher.
It was picked up, and like the next one was picked up.
Yeah,
that's really great.
First published in Great Britain, but she's American, isn't she? Oh, but I got the British copy.
She is American, but she also lived in Scotland for a while.
And Iceland. It says she lives with her partner. That doesn't tell me necessarily.
Yeah, these days, not really. I mean, it could be a little partner.
I think we probably have to look up different like interviews and like, you know, interactions. But regardless, I thought she did a really great job. So if it's not own voices and this is just from like life experience or her researching, or I mean, it would have to be like, I wouldn't be able to sit down and write this kind of diversity and give justice to different kinds of sexualities without doing research if I didn't have a personal experience. So that's like insane. Yeah, guys, this is nuts.
But I can't.
You were looking for fan art?
Yeah.
I'll see if I can put it directly into our group. It's not letting me. I'll put it directly into our group, but I couldn't put it into like the group. Oh, maybe I can. Hold on. Let me see if this works. You guys tell me if this works. I'm going to put a link in there. Nope. Way too long. It says I can't do web addresses. So never mind. But if you just look up like a Google image search on like the long way to a Small Angry Planet fan art, you'll see it like right off the back. But Sissix looks terrifying in the one picture, and in the rest, I'm like, oh, she's like a huggable T-Rex. Although there's one where she's like hugging Rosemary, where she looks like
I saw that one.
she kind of
Okay, guys,
like
I found it.
like a weird flat face, but like a cockatiel.
Guys, I found it.
Okay.
So
All right,
she
what do you got?
actually did an interview where the interviewer says another thing I enjoyed was the inclusion of queer romance as this very casual, normalized part of the world. Yes, I mean, that is great. And unfortunately, that is still a novelty in the genre as well. Becky Chambers' response is, it was important for me. I'm gay, so it's important for me to write futures in which I feel welcome. Sorry, it took a bit, and I'm like, the only reason I found it is because I finally typed into Google, is Becky Chambers gay? Which is
and then you come up
awful, but I found it, and I found the correct Becky Chambers.
with it. Yeah. Well, that's impressive, because I'm sure she's not the only Becky Chambers, but
Yeah, such a common name.
yeah.
And she was like top of the pile, too.
Well, then I'm sure she probably is, and if she's lived all over the world, I'm sure she's had experience with all different kinds of like queer relationships, like not queer relationships, but queer friends and groups and circles, and learning the different pronouns and how people want to be addressed and how, those kinds of things work. And it almost seems like there's,
Within the LGBT community here, it's different cultures and different nouns, pronouns.
There's a lot of ins and outs, and as a straight person, I watched, especially Pride Month, I've been watching so many videos, and a lot of it's really hard for me to like get the terminology down for. So it's impressive whenever anybody takes it on and then actually does it really, really well.
Totally.
But,
I've been reading in part because of running the group, but especially with it being Pride Month, I'm like, I'm trying to learn more, because again, I'm a straight woman, so I don't fully get it, but I'm attempting. So I love it when there's actually somebody who's part of the community that's coming out like, here, take it. Here's something for you to learn. And
oh, what happened?
She muted. She's drinking coffee.
Oh, okay. I'm like, oh, I don't hear her anywhere.
I can repeat. She said, here, use. And then I stopped and drank.
That's nice that she's own voices. Amber said she's so happy she could find a safe place in her own world. And I agree. And I think that there's more and more own voices writers that are writing stories about LGBTQA plus characters who are either out, or there's no drama around being out, or it's homonormative, and there's no weirdness around that, which I think we need to have more. And then we need to also get used to reading those kinds of worlds without it always being so comment worthy. And I know we're not there yet, but I'm hoping that the more and more we read it, the more and more that becomes what readers expect from authors, as opposed to what we are pleasantly surprised to find from authors.
But what I'm thinking is, the more that we are pleasantly surprised that authors are doing this, it's going to become more of a normalized society, kind of like what they're talking about in this book. Of what she imagines the future to be is this community that's very much a minority, and probably it really shouldn't be. It's normalized and part of like the greater community. Well, come on, authors, make it so.
Yeah, there's plenty of readers that's what they're looking for, and that's what we expect now. And we, to do otherwise, especially in the booktube community, or book Twitter or bookstagram, like you get an author that doesn't include enough diversity, and you're gonna hear about it.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think that finding out that its own voices doesn't necessarily change my opinion. I mean, it was already a 5-star read. That just makes me happier, and it clues me into how she could write something like this so well. Also, the space lingo being written so well. And given her space background and her science background, the fact that it was dumbed down to a point where I was like, okay, I'm still kind of lost, but like, I get the basics. Like, kudos, Becky Chambers, because that's not an easy thing to do for me, because was not raised by an astrophysicist. So,
or an astrobiologist.
Or an astrobiologist. Or any of that.
Wasn't this her debut novel?
I would assume so if she had to have it crowdfunded.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I would have to check in the chat room. Do you know? I would assume that this is her debut, though. And honestly, though, for a debut to take on world building like this, and then like character, familial like interactions, and all the different species and races, like histories, like that's impressive as hell.
Yeah, very much.
Like super impressive. I honestly, like, what diversity, like, I can't imagine somebody feeling like unrepresented or reading this book and not feeling like, you know, they could see themselves in this world being accepted or fitting into like one of these kinds of like situations. Like,
yeah, it can be very relatable.
Yeah, for sure.
This is a book that I would definitely try to put in my collection at work.
Yeah. I think it's a good one. I think it's a great one for kids or for anybody. I loved it. I really, really did. And I'm deeply sorry that you guys didn't love it as much as me. I know that we're usually sometimes varied, but at least we usually like agree to like a certain extent. I think this is probably like the first time it's been this swayed, but.
And I think that's okay, because every so often we need that book that just kind of tears us apart in a good kind of way.
Yeah.
Not the why is mommy daddy trying.
I look forward to hearing each other's opinions, you know.
Yeah, I mean, even when
I look forward to that.
Even when I like love something and you hated Julie, I'm like, I need to know why Julie hates my book. Like, I just need.
I agree. And I didn't look at Goodreads until today, and then I got like nervous because until then I was just like fully amped because everybody I saw in the chat room or in the Goodreads group, Jesus, Julie, in the Facebook group was like 5 stars. I love this book. Thank you for making me pick it up. I probably wouldn't have picked it up right away if you hadn't, you know, made this the book of the month. Yeah. So I was like so excited for everybody.
So the funny thing is, number one, I'm glad we ended up reading this book during Pride Month, and that just like oddly worked out. But number two, I was nervous reading the buddy read group because I was the person that was like, oh shit, what did I miss in this book that everybody else is like loving it and giving it 5 stars? Am I going to be the person that comes in and is like, you all are wrong, this book sucked, and blah, blah, blah. And when I'm like that, please don't let me just burst your bubble. Like, feel free to continue to love it. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, I saw your rating after I did mine. Like I said, I didn't hate the book. It was okay. It's just one of those books, like, if you're looking for something to read and it's on the shelf, that's what I'll, pick up and get. I didn't hate it, though. I liked it enough to read the next book.
Yeah, I'm nervous about the next book because I love these characters so much, and I know it's just a companion novel, so I know we're not going to necessarily get them the same way that we did in this one. So I already ordered it. I got my shipping confirmation from Book Depository today, so I know it's on its way, and I got the other UK version, so it matches this one because the US versions are so hideous.
I probably would just go back and listen to the book, like I did for the second one, and then may change my rating going to. So that's probably what I would do.
Yeah, it might. I think that does change things sometimes, but I'm trying to look in here and see. Nora said, I love seeing more diversity in speculative fiction. Jessica said, I think putting different sexualities is overused in literature today. No. I don't know. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's
totally
overused.
Inaccurate. Because, I mean, with all these sexualities that are out there,
there's plenty to still.
It's kind of necessary.
Yeah, I agree. Amber said that she liked that there was more than just a monosexual person, that cis was either pan or bisexual, because then we don't get enough of that in books.
Not only do we not get it enough, it tends to not be done well. And I think Becky Chambers did this well with cis.
I think so too. Yeah. Jessica's saying more that it's a saturation of the market. Amber says she can see that too. BookTube right now is very, very keyed in on diversity, and we want diverse reads. I also think that there's a lot of, I think there's an influx of own voices authors that are feeling empowered enough to write stories that they see themselves in that is new to our particular time right now, that we're getting authors that are finally confident writing stories that they wish they had as teenagers for the YA market. And I can see why that would feel like it's an oversaturation. But if you're looking for books on straight characters, trust me, there's plenty of them. I think it's time to have this representation for those that have been underrepresented for so long.
But I also want to point out, like, since you're on this topic of, you know, feeling empowered and stuff, I just hosted a program at the library on the Berdache, which is the old term. They're using Two-Spirit now. That's the Native American LGBT community. And the person that basically led the discussion for me kept saying there's not a lot of information out there on the Two-Spirits, back from basically landing in America up through modern times. I mean, you're getting more information on it now just because people are aware and they understand what they're looking at and they're writing about it and mentioning it. But basically, we have, you know, from say 1600s to the 1900s, 300 years worth of history that it kind of got mentioned in maybe 3 sentences of a journal somewhere. We're in total of 3 sentences in the entire journal.
Yep.
Or it's marked on the back of a painting, Zachary Taylor's Berdache Lady, or, you know, and that's what you get. And so it's kind of important that it's getting written about now. It may feel like oversaturation. I'm sorry if that's how it comes across, but can we really afford to have more history go by where these people aren't writing and there aren't these characters and we're just missing the boat on this whole part of our culture?
No, we can't. That's what I'm saying. Like, I can understand why it might feel overwhelming, but I mean, there's plenty of books for you to read if that's not what you're down for. And I agree. It's time to have them there. I'm trying to look. Somebody said that they put a whole bunch of pictures in the Buddy Read group for fan art, which is awesome. And yeah, we did. We got Talia put some in there, and that's the one that I was talking about. And
I just put
Lauren put the interview with Becky Chambers, if you
as well as the website.
Okay. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So those are all links that you guys can check out later if you are interested in more information on Becky Chambers. But I'm personally really, really stoked that this one was the book of the month. I mean, I picked it, so, you know. It's one of those times where I'm like, yes, I'm really glad. It had been sitting on my shelf for like a while, and I really wanted to, not on my shelf, but on my TBR for a really, really long time. So I was really glad to get to this one, and I was really pleasantly surprised for a sci-fi, which is like so not my genre, that I loved it as much as I did. And I absolutely attribute that to Becky Chambers' writing and her character development and the world building that she did. I thought it was phenomenal.
Yep, I agree. I liked it. It was pretty good.
Let's see. So for you guys in the chat room, let us know if there's anything else that you want to touch on, but I think that we have touched on a whole bunch of stuff. If there's any favorite quotes, I might go on Goodreads really quick and see if there's any favorite quotes, but in general, I didn't like, nothing stood out as like a super uber quote for me. Like some writing, it was more like character interactions and world building, and I didn't find anything that was like super quotable. Yeah, I didn't either, but I mean, I'll look just in case. But I think we have a winner. Do you want to announce it, Ericka, for the
Yes.
book?
It was.
We threw out a poll, not on Twitter. I think the only place we put it was the Goodreads group.
Yeah.
Or on the Facebook group. So if you're not a part of the Facebook Buddy Read group and you're listening to this, 1, how'd you find us? 2, you should go be a part of that, because that's where we talk about a lot of our books and put up polls.
By the way, congrats for finding us, because we're awesome.
You are welcome.
The book for the next one is, it's a list of cages. List of all the cages. Is that it?
List of cages. Yep.
Yeah. And I'm excited to read that one because I have that book on my shelf and it's been on my shelf forever. So I'm excited to read that one.
I don't have it on my shelf. It's been on my radar. I think it's on my Goodreads TBR. But I know it's one that a lot of people are talking about. I think it's another diverse read. I know it includes Foster Brothers, and I know that people said that there is just buckets of tears, like super cry-worthy. So
no, we might be up for a good cry-worthy book.
We might be. We really haven't had like a super. I mean, I cried at bits and pieces of different books, but we've had like,
but not because it's a cry book. It's more of,
but not because it's a
we
cry.
cried,
Like this
say,
one
over Zelda
apparently is.
Fitzgerald's book because it's like, who the hell published this? Or we cried over Lovelace, or you know, there was something would happen. It was like, but it's not like, you know, not like the catharsis you get from a cry.
No, this one apparently is like, it's pretty raw. It's pretty real. But I am excited about it, and I'm excited because it's something that you guys voted on, so I know that you guys are interested in it as well. I saw a lot of people that said that they had already read it, but they loved it, so they'll be continuing to be involved in the buddy read and in the live show, regardless of not rereading it, because it is a new release. So a lot of the people that just read it are not like up for rereading it again. But I personally am always up for a good cry, and I'm really excited about the book. So we'll have to see. And we always keep you guys posted. It takes us a little while to get our schedules all in line to plan and a date for the next live show, but we will keep you posted on Twitter and in the Facebook Buddy Read group on when that's going to happen. But that is officially the book for next month. And I'm looking through Goodreads. I'm not really finding any quotes that I'm like super moved by.
Yeah, look at those earlier, and I didn't see anything that I liked.
Yeah. Let's see if anybody else said anything else in the chat room before we go. Jessica asked for next month's book, and then she said, yay, I have that book. So I'm glad you have it, Jessica, because a lot of people were like scrambling to order books after we announce it. Amber, I agree. She said she wanted to just say really quick that she loved how caring Rosemary ended up being for Sissix and what she needed in a family. And I agree. That was one of the things that was really hard, because you get a feeling that maybe Rosemary has feelings for Sissix, but there's nothing actually happening yet. And then for Rosemary to go and notice what Sissix is missing in those connections, and that she needs that physical touch, and that that's something that she's created a family, but that nobody's really welcoming of the kind of affection that she needs. And for Rosemary to say, I care about you and I want to take this risk, like I want to try this, like that's something that's really hard for most people, unless that's something that they've been raised for, to say, I'm open to loving you and being in a physical intimate relationship with you, and then letting you go outside of that if you need to fulfill your own like societal needs and like physical, emotional needs like that. It was really sweet. I thought it was really beautiful. Yeah. I agree. Amber says we're awesome. I also agree. A List of Cages was already on Kaylee's TBR, so we are winning. Amber's looked at it 3 times but hasn't read it yet. Talia's got it ready to go. So we're doing good. Emma Books recommended it, Jessica said. I think I did see that. I saw her recommend it. I've seen a lot of people recommend it, but I did see that she was talking about it. Amber won't cry because Amber's a robot. She's a white robot, just like Pi.
Okay, random question for the group, but did anybody want to punch somebody in the throat in this book? Because with every single book up until this point,
we've had throat punches.
Yeah.
That was I cannot remember what part it was, but I thought, because there's somebody in our group that talks about throat punching, and I thought about that person when I was reading this part in the story, and I can't remember what part it was.
I feel like if anything, I would have like throat punched Corbin a couple times maybe. But
he's also the family idiot, so.
But he wasn't just an idiot. Like, sometimes he was just downright confrontational and rude for, like, no apparent reason. Like, I'm sorry your freaking algae got disturbed, or, like, the wrong motor was, like, ordered. But, like, there's
no, I agree that he was rude for no reason, but at the same time, I think part of him being rude for no reason is just part of his idiocy. Like, he just doesn't get that. You don't go up to your family and just start cussing them out.
Sometimes rude people get throat punched. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair.
I don't think so. I don't think that there was anybody in this book that annoyed me to the point of throat punching. If anything, I was just frustrated. Like, I was frustrated by Ohan for not wanting to, like, save himself. I was frustrated by different, like, situations in the book, but I wasn't like throat punchy. So this might be our, like, first non-throat punchy one in a while. I don't think we've had a non-throat puncher since, like,
I know.
The School for Good and Evil. Ever since then, there's been a lot of throat punching.
Yeah. Yeah, there has. I mean, even Zelda Fitzgerald didn't get, like, throat punchy stuff. I mean, we actively wanted to shake her a lot.
Yeah.
But, like, that's as testy as we got with her.
Yeah, Amber said those guys that broke the cage thingy to try to get them to kill them. Yeah, like the, like, warring faction planet, whatever. Like, but they're just, that wasn't throat punchy. Like, throat punchy to me is like, I don't know. They were awful, but it was it invoked a different kind of emotion.
That's where you just slap them a couple of times, knock some sense into them.
Yeah.
Punching is like you're at the point where you just want to knock them to their knees so they don't breathe for a bit and make yourself feel better.
And then you're like, yeah, you know. Nora said maybe the people that took Corbin away to jail. I agree. I mean, like, maybe the people that were like, you don't deserve to have any kind of rights because you're not.
But at the same time, no, I mean, that's not cool, but at the same time,
it's not okay.
Corbin needed a little bit of a scare to appreciate
what he had.
He was with. Yeah.
He did.
He said that he didn't think anybody would come for him.
Yeah, which was heartbreaking too. And like when they let him out and he was naked and just like cowering and like like just broken, I was like, oh, like it was so sad.
Like, I didn't do anything. And when they beat him, that was heartbreaking as well.
That's horrible. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there was parts of this and characters in this that I didn't like, but it was, throat punchy is a specific emotion for me, and I didn't get that in this book.
No, like me too. And I think that if through the books that had somebody that was getting throat punched, it's been a very specific person, like the buddy read group, that's like, I wanted to punch this person in the throat. And we're all like, what? No, you're right, but what?
I think it was when,
but I think that's one of my favorite things to say now.
I think it was when Six was going off on somebody, or Kinsey, I forgot her name, and that's what they were saying. That's what reminded me of the person in the group that would always talk about throat punching.
Throat punching. Yeah. Amber said when the guy in the court said, "Yeah, but you didn't lose anybody in the disturbance," and they said, "Yes, we did. We lost Lovey." Amber said, "Throat punch."
Yeah.
No, not throat punch. That's the moment where you do like
they just don't understand. They didn't.
No.
Yeah. That was bad, but at the same time, like, not everybody looks at AIs the way that Jenks does. So,
To be fair, a lot of people don't look at a lot of things the way that Jenks looks at AI.
This is true. Nora said she found a quote. She found a good one. Do not judge other species by your own social norms. That's a good one.
Accurate.
That is a good one. Very good one. And there was a couple other ones. It was like, you can't solve the wars of your fathers or something. Sometimes the only thing you can do is walk away. And I was like, oh, really? But then there was like another one that was like, I think I can wait for the world outside to get a little bit kinder. And then I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I don't want to wait for it to get kinder out there. Like, go make it kinder. I don't know. Exactly. There was a couple that were like close to being really quotable for me, but like didn't quite make it in terms of like a really quick like quote. But that is a good one.
The funny thing is, for such wonderful dialogue, I think part of the reason I thought it was great dialogue was just how it related to the interpersonal relationships and how it built the relationships. Not so much as it being this quotable book. It's just well spoken, and I probably would have liked it better as if I'd heard it. But that's just.
I legitimately, so like I made notes in the book as I was reading, and this one I was flipping through to see if I really did mark up any like good quotes, but I put, call me judgy, but I'm not so sure that naked computer cuddles make sense to me.
I feel like that needs to like be hung somewhere.
It should be on a mug or something. It'll be like my next mug. I'm just gonna sit here with like naked computer cuddles.
That's what you have that mug with your chat, Julie.
Yeah.
See, here's what's bad is I actually just did a pot painting program at the library last week, and that would have been great, like on
It
a
would have been
pot
a great
somewhere.
one. I'm like, call me judgy, but naked computer cuddles don't make any sense to me. But this, oh God, Lovey. I have like a whole section here where she's got that hidden file for him, and they asked like why. What was it like? She named the file a certain thing, you know, like why this file? She's like, well, because because I've loved you since then. He's like, well, that's the day that I installed you. She goes, yeah, I've loved you since then. I'm like, oh,
Yep.
oh my God, I lost it. I
Speaking of
lost
loving,
my mind.
probably the best loving moment for me was when, she goes up to Jenks and goes, "What do you want me to look like?" And my first thought is needy. Awful. I realize that's awful,
But
but
I loved his answer. His answer was like, whatever you want to look like.
yeah, and his
Like
answer was
it
great.
was
Where
a
he goes, "What do you
great
want to look
answer.
like?" And then she goes, "No, seriously, what do you want me to look like when you see me in your dreams? What do you want me to look like?"
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of sort of explains it, but he goes, "But really, what I want you to look like is what you want to look like," which again is a fantastic answer and probably
It's a great
to me
answer.
the most, and probably the most quotable part of the book. But
Yeah.
and again, that's part of the reason why I'm like, it's just so the dialogue is so great and so beautiful.
That was awesome. Amber says
But
she wants some Emu bots to keep her healthy and kill allergies. I agree. The Emu bots and the dentist that like just cleans your teeth. Like I want that so bad.
that would be great, but you're not going to cuddle with those.
No.
No, I don't want to cuddle with them. I just want to be healthy all the time. I underlined one line that absolutely had me rolling my eyes so hard I'm not sure how I can see, and I will read it for you. If you have your books, guys, children, please reference page 383.
Yes, ma'am.
This one, his silence sounded baffled. What?
His son.
His silence
I don't think that's a
sounded
thing.
baffled. How does your silence sound baffled? How, of all the brilliant things you said in this book, you almost done. You land me with his silence sounded baffled. No.
I'm actually kind of baffled by that sentence.
I was like, what? Like, of all the times to throw in, like, I've been on board and, like, so
like
down.
That's where she should have started and then built up to the beautiful. But no.
You know?
No, she starts with the beautiful stuff and pulls us in with this great dialogue and goes to his silence sounded baffled. Well, thank you. Were you drinking the shit you gave your people on the...
There's been none of that, like, breath I didn't know I was holding. Like, you've kept it together, Becky Chambers, and then you dropped that one on me. Like, get out of here.
She had the smash. That's what happened.
Yeah, she had the smash. Also, Kizzy's little speech to Jenks about, like, standing by him after Lovey went away, and she was like, you're my brother. You're not, like, you know, like, you're not a friend. You're my brother. And she goes into this whole definition of what siblings are. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I bawled. Brothers never go away. That's for life. They get who you are, what you like. They see you at your worst. Nothing's too much to ask when it comes to brothers. I was like, ah. I was like, okay. I was like, I only have sisters, but I get it.
I have one of each, and as much as I know he doesn't watch the show, so I'm going to say this, and he's probably going to end up watching the show, like, today. That would be my luck. But there are days,
This will be the one.
and Ericka, I know you have a brother too, so let me know if you feel any differently about your brother. But there are days, and he's a little brother too, just to make it better, he's toddler, but we won't go into that. There are days I just want to slap the shit out of him. Just slap the shit out of him.
I have a lot of those moments.
Yeah. Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? Where you're like, I know you can get to work on time, but how are you an hour and a half late to Thanksgiving dinner? Like, really? Like, you know those days, and I love him to death. But there are days where he's like, you're not healthy, you need to do exercise. Like, he probably just wants to slap the shit out of me because of how I eat and stuff. But, you know, at the end of the day, we've got each other's back. And, I had, when he and a girlfriend broke up after a few years and he kind of broke down over it, I took in his dog because I had an apartment that could do it. I've taken his dog and I've set the dog up. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. And he's there like, yeah, thank you for taking, the whole thing. And I'm like, okay, now that we've done that, do you want me to kill her? Because I will. Like you go from this, I will slap you in 2 seconds if you keep this up, to I will kill that bitch for you right now. And there's like no in between on like how you feel about your brother, like at all.
Nope. Nora said that her neighbors are going to kill her for laughing this loud because it's 3:45 a.m. where she is.
Oh, wow.
You're welcome,
sorry.
Nora.
I'm sorry that my silence that sounded baffled made you laugh that hard.
And ironically, she is not baffled or silent right now.
She's not baffled or silent. But I had a note in here about like PTSD, like the discussion of PTSD, like after the pirates came on board. Also, like Jenks actually talks about his emotions as Kizzy is over there trying to disarm the last of like the bombs on the other ship, and he's like discussing, like he's talking through with somebody exactly how scared he is that his like best friend is over there on this ship and what she's going through and what they just went through.
I couldn't imagine that like at all.
No, and he's talking about like, but there was like healthy emotional talking through of issues. It wasn't like bottled, like everything was dealt with so well. Like the PTSD was dealt with. The toll that things have took on them was dealt with. It wasn't just kind of like thrown to the side. Like I just appreciated so many facets of this book. And I think that's what made it like a 5-star read for me. It wasn't just that it was diverse. It wasn't just that it was rich in world. It wasn't just that there was like all these species that all made sense to me and felt real. But it was also like there was healthy mental representation. There was mental health. There was sexual diversity. There was ability diversity. Like it just all around was so positive.
Random quick factoid, but today is Post-Traumatic Stress Disorder Awareness Day.
And look at us reading this.
And look at us talking about it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite things. Yeah, that's one of my favorite things of how just well-rounded this whole book was. I really loved it about this.
I agree. But I know Nora's up at 3:45 a.m. I'm not sure. I think I'm good on what I need to chat about, unless there's other stuff you guys want to keep going on.
Me too. Same boat.
I'm feeling good. Amber's about to cut a bitch. Maybe don't.
That's a first.
She's not. She's just saying her brother's in his early 20s and he's just stupid sometimes, but she'll still cut a bitch.
Yeah. My brother is.
If she has to.
He'll be 27 in October, and I have a little sister that's going to be 24 in October. Love them to death. I'm totally the oldest, and regardless of whether you're the oldest, you're the youngest, whatever, you've got each other's backs.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a daily thing, but also at least once a day, you're like, I will slap you.
Oh, nothing makes you crazier than family, which I agree. And that's what made this so real and like this group of characters so like valid and rich and vivid, was because that's family. That's how family behaves. That's what happens. So it all kind of came full circle and I absolutely loved it. So here's to hoping that I also love Alyssa Cage's and that I might have to read that one a little bit earlier in the month so I have time to like process emotionally. And I'm not like red and splotchy for the live show.
Well,
like, I'm here.
Here's the thing. I have the feeling that even if I read it early enough in the month, I will probably be at the live show where we're discussing it. Just going, just ugly crying. Just.
I have it bad. I finished this book way earlier today, so I know I'm gonna have to read it early so I will come on a live show just a total emotional wreck. Yeah,
you have to, or else you're gonna be all red and splotchy. It's gonna be scary. I'm not a cute crier, so I'm gonna need to hold it together, guys.
Like, no lie, when I first read The Fault in Our Stars, I was at work, and this was like our annual read. At the end of summer is Read Strong, so all the libraries get together and we all read, and we turn in the amount of pages that we read as a community. I finished The Fault in Our Stars. I went in our staff bathroom and I cried my little heart out. I was in there a good 10 minutes because I could not work. I could not work. That book. And then I went to the movies and saw it, and the same thing.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. I did read it, but I haven't seen it. But I can only imagine. I'm a crier anyway, so I know this is going to kill me. So we're going to have to wait and see. But I'm excited to talk about it and to get started in July. I'm gonna wait until July. I'm not gonna sneak it early, but I'm excited about it.
And that book, you guys voted on that book, like the votes on that one just skyrocketed.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah, like there wasn't anything. I think the closest one to it still had like 15 points under it or something like that. Like it was a double-digit leader.
It was a pretty broad, like from like day one, like a couple hours into the voting, I was like, I think we can call this one, but I'll wait until the live show to like make it official. But I think we can all say that this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Thank you for participating in the live voting. When you guys vote on books, it really does make it interesting and fun for us. It's always nice when we get to pick books that we really wanted to read, but it's also nice when we take books that we're already interested in and then let you guys vote. So thank you for participating in that poll. If you did, I hope that you will join us for next month's read, because I think we're all pretty stoked for it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you for participating in the live show. You guys interacting and letting us know about your reading experience and how you felt about the book really does make this a more dynamic show. So it's not just the three of us sitting here talking about the book, which we're happy to do. But it's fun when we get to talk about it with you guys, especially because so many of you really did enjoy it. And to all of you who are watching after the fact, because you could not make the live show, thank you for watching the show afterwards. Be sure to comment down below and let us know your thoughts on the book as well, and we will respond to those.
Thank you.
Yay!
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, because we're talkers. So
we are talkers.
We're talkers. We're readers. We're the whole shebang. Let's be honest.
Well, is that it? No one has any more comments or questions? Anything?
I don't think so. I'm good.
Oh. Okay, then. Well, thank you all, and I hope you all have a good night, evening, morning, wherever you are in the world, and we will see you all next month.
See you next month, guys.
Bye.